Hello and welcome to episode 69 of the Wisdom from the Akasha podcast. My name is Susie, I am your host, and I am an Akashic Records teacher and practitioner. I know it's not a Friday and you're not due to get another episode from me, so I hope you don't mind hearing from me twice in 1 week. But what I wanted to do today was give you a little bit of a behind the scenes in respect of the membership. So I had my monthly membership meeting last night. We had a really good in-depth conversation around the sun being a solar being and this spiritualizing evolutionary force that we have acting upon us. So I just wanted to share some clips from that conversation. Membership meetings are 90 minutes a month, and we pick different topics to go and do a deeper dive into. I will share with the members what I have learned along the way on my spiritual journey, what I have learned from the Akashic Records, and if I talk about different systems, paths, practices, there's always going to be a reference to them. So you'll hear in the first clip that I reference the Theosophical and the Anthroposophical systems in respect of cosmology. Now, I want to explain here that I am not a theosophist or an anthroposophist. I would not consider myself as either of those. But what I do find is that when it comes to cosmology and understanding cosmology, that these two systems are very good for us to understand cosmologies. Now, all spiritual systems and traditions have a cosmology. It's the starting point of the understanding of this journey of evolution, not just of Earth, but of us as souls as well. Let's get into the first clip from the membership meeting last night.
This chart is called your cosmology, okay? And cosmology is designed to show the evolution of the soul through the spheres or the globes, okay? So the process of the soul's evolution in the Earth cycle can be mapped through this cosmology. Every different solar system has its own cosmology, but the Theosophical system, you'll see globe A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, okay? And in Anthroposophy, which is this Rudolf Steiner system, you'll see Saturn, Sun, Moon, Earth, Jupiter, Venus, and Vulcan. These refer to globes and spheres of development, which we will get into. Now, this process of the journey down, and the reason it's down like this is not just because I'm awful with artwork. This is the materialization process, right? And the materialization process is the soul getting denser and denser, the physical form becoming a physical form. In the Saturn and Sun stages of evolution, there's very little of the physical form, and we get denser and denser as we go down to where we are now, which is Earth. Now, we of course are now on our spiritualization. So we're starting our journey this way. Okay, we're still on Earth. We do 7 cycles on each planet. We'll call them planets. We do 7 cycles on each. So we are in the 5th of 7 cycles here. Still 2 more cycles to go before we move on to Jupiter. It doesn't mean that we're all moving to Jupiter. Okay, that's our materialist brain. It's a phase of development. So this is the process of materialization, so getting denser, and spiritualization, so going back out. And the phases that we go through here for each one and going back up, that process is mirrored. So what happens in this sphere is mirrored here. What happens in this one is mirrored here. Okay, so when you're understanding cosmology is to understand this process. And we go through this whole thing 7 times as well. This is where you'll see in the Eastern traditions, you have the idea of yugas. In the Western traditions, you have the ideas of epochs. Now, there's also this funky little thing here, which is the 8th sphere. So the 8th sphere I put here because it's between the moon and the Earth, okay? You'll see this referred to as the moon realm or the 8th sphere. The reason it's called the 8th sphere, of course, is because there's ordinarily 7 spheres in a cycle. And this is in the process of being created, hence why it's a broken line. At the end of each round or epoch, we move on to the next round or not. Okay, that's what we're doing here as souls. And that's our job, to go through all of these different cycles, all of these different ages, all of these different epochs, and to choose evolution or not. Okay, and we get the choice as souls, we have free will. Now, this entire process, this whole entire thing is governed by our sun. So to understand our evolution, yes, we have to understand our internal workings. Yes, we have to understand the Christ consciousness. Yes, we have to understand all of our different bodies. And we're going to do all of that in our time together. Not all tonight, but we will get to it all. Okay? But what's very important to understand is that there is a higher being who is essentially energizing and stimulating this process, and that is the sun. Okay, the sun is not just a ball of gas in the sky. From a spiritual and esoteric perspective, it's very important. Now, this sun, this solar being, works upon us and our internal sun. So we have an internal sun as well that is worked upon by the external sun. Now, I'm not going to go into all the different phases tonight because we would literally be here for the rest of the year just talking about cosmology. If you want more cosmology, always happy to do it. But for now, the important thing is to remember that this process exists. It's been mapped throughout every single tradition I've ever come across, and that's quite a few in various different terminologies. But this is the understanding of how it all works. And to understand how we work and what's actually going on when people are talking about the ascension process and spiritualization and what we're all actually doing, it's really good to know that this is all part of a bigger system.
So I hope you enjoyed that first clip. My aim with the membership for the rest of 2025 is going to be about helping you all understand this process and also how to work on that. The next clip looks at what it is we're actually doing here. What is the point of spiritual development at this time?
You are, this moment in time, building your light body. Okay, that's what you're doing here. We need a light body for when we go up this way. As we're going back out, we're not taking this physical form with us, just like we didn't have this physical form on this way down. So what you're doing at the moment is you're learning how to build your light body. All the healing work that you're doing, that's helping this process of building this light body. And this is all the stuff that's going to be the focus over these next however many membership sessions it takes us.
This next clip is from the historical research. And one of the things that I always try to do when I'm looking at spiritual concepts, esoteric concepts, is to go back through history and across all cultures and civilizations to see where common themes come up. I think that's important because we can get very ungrounded in our learning. And when we look at things from a historical perspective and how these topics have been discussed throughout different cultures, different paths, different traditions, it can be really helpful to keep us grounded and embodied in respect of this knowledge and understanding that we're gaining. So here's the next clip.
Let's take a look at these historical clues provided by cultures and traditions throughout the world. And you will find reference to the sun in some shape or form across every single tradition throughout history. It's always been a feature. So back in the day, esotericists knew the sun to be the center of our cosmos long before the general public did. What you'll see if you go back to really old texts is the sun starts getting talked about symbolically because, of course, if they had expressed what they were talking about openly, they would have been killed and persecuted. So you will find a lot of language used alchemically, symbolically, metaphorically when it comes to the sun. But I want to go through this a little bit tonight so that when you are off doing your own research, looking into these things, if you come across certain terms or symbols, you'll know what that means now, and it will help you all in your own development. So throughout time, we can see cultures drawn to the sun and often scared of the dark. Our ancestors associated the sun with the principle of good. So we see Brahma in Hinduism, we see Mithras in Persian cultures, we see Atham and Osiris for the Egyptians, Bel of the Chaldeans, and Adonis and Apollo of the Greeks. And there's also sun gods or beings referenced in Celtic traditions, shamanic traditions, Norse traditions. I just didn't write them all down, but they are it across the board. Okay. And they're all beings who are portraying a personification of the sun. And the sun was considered to be this rejuvenating and regenerating principle. Our ancestors knew that by being in the sun, they were rejuvenated, regenerated, and it wasn't just nice on the physical form. There was something else going on. Okay. Now, we also see again across the world structures designed to worship the sun. You'll see the pyramids in Yucatan and Egypt. You'll see the snake mounds of the Native Americans, and you'll see the round towers of Ireland. These were all about worshipping the sun. Now, we also see golden ornaments used by priests, and gold has always been the alchemical reference to the sun. Okay, so you'll see this in scepters, you'll see this in crowns of kings. They were once upon a time divinely appointed, so they would have these spears and they would point out and they would have little orbs on the end, again referencing the sun. So this is all a nod towards the sun. And throughout esoteric writings, you'll see reference to the sun being made in a variety of ways. So it could be gold, it could be the orbs, it could be the lion, it could be the eagle, but there's all of these references to the sun and the power of the sun.
We also did an introduction into what's called solar beings. So those beings of light who are part of the evolutionary stream, some of whom choose an Earth incarnation, some who do not. We talked about that a little bit, and that conversation led into what's going to be the topic for the next part of the membership, which is going to be really understanding ourselves, so these different aspects of ourselves, and the spiritual hierarchies. So understanding these different types of beings that are part of this spiritualizing energy that the sun provides, these solar beings. So that's what's going to be coming up in the membership next. Here's the next clip.
Solar beings have the ability within them to initiate others. But we must always remember that there is a difference between someone who intellectually understands the sun and the teachings and actually embodies them. So actually holds the sun. One of our jobs at this time is to be able to discern between the two, because there are a lot of people out there who will claim to have gifts and power of a solar being and there aren't. I have met in my entire almost 44 years of existence on planet Earth, I have met one true solar being. So one true person who was initiated to that level. And there is no doubt in your mind when you meet someone who is of that. This person who I met, who was of that level, their entire being literally turned into light when you look them in the eyes. There's no doubt in my mind. But that is very rare on planet Earth at this time. You also don't need anyone to initiate you. Okay. Now, there was a time in earlier epochs of this round where the only way that you could evolve and advance was to receive initiations from others. But that all changes in the middle of this epoch.
We then had quite a detailed discussion around the false light and the devolutionary stream, and coming up on the podcast on Friday is a whole episode dedicated to the false light and how to discern for yourself in respect of different information, different beings you're connecting to help you navigate through and discern when something is of the false light and something is of the light. So here's the final clip from the membership for you all.
So we understand the sun. We understand that we have three suns, that there are three suns. It's sending this spiritualizing light to us, that there are these amazing solar beings at different levels of dimensions. So some who have chosen to incarnate on Earth, and other light beings. And they're all here to help us evolve. Okay? So that's great. That's the good news. We know we've got to build our light body. We know that we can receive all of this help and all of this guidance. And we also know that we're in quite a dense state. We're in quite a material state. And the challenge of our time and part of our solar initiation is the ability to discern between light, also known as truth,
and false light, which is distortion or inversion of truth. I hope that you have found this behind the scenes look into the membership interesting. I just wanted you all to have a feel for the types of things that we talk about in the membership. We do a whole range of topics. So no matter where you're at on your spiritual journey, you'll find something in the membership that is going to be really helpful for you to learn. All the previous workshops that I've done over the years live in the membership. That's all workshops except for Akashic Records training. That's a separate section. But in the membership, there are lots of different workshops on lots of different topics. So we've covered the astral realm in detail. There's 5 workshops on that. We've done individual workshops on each of the different chakras as part of our understanding for how to work with our internal technology. And of course, that is going to be the focus over the rest of 2025, how to work with our own internal technology, how to strengthen that, and how to ensure that we are evolving, we are spiritualizing. If you would like to join the membership, come along and be part of that community, all you have to do is sign up for the next membership meeting. I'll put a link into the show notes. You'll then receive an email from me. Please do allow 24 hours for that email to come through. It's part of a manual process. So in that email, you'll receive from me a link to the members area and a password to be able to access that members area. If you get to 24 hours and you haven't received it, first of all, please check your junk folder, because that might be where it lands if this is the first time you've received an email from me. And reach out to me by email to let me know that you haven't received it. I do check to make sure that people have received it, but sometimes my analytics will tell me that something has landed and you might not necessarily have seen it. So just allow for that part of the process from an admin perspective. As always, I look forward to seeing you in the next podcast episode.